Gary, it's great to be with you today in Atlanta. Tell us a bit about yourself and what you do.
Well, I'm originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, in the northern part of the United States, northeast, and I've been in the Atlanta area since 1979. I'm married, have two grown and married children, one grandson and one grandchild on the way. And I've been with American Vision since about 1981. I'm a graduate of Reformed Theological Seminary and involved in a writing ministry on a variety of subjects, mostly worldview subjects. Our common interest, of course, is on the eschatological issues of the day.
And so what does World Vision focus on?
American Vision.
American Vision.
Yeah, the World Vision was taken, so we adopted American Vision. American Vision first started, as the name suggests, introducing American Christians to their rich Christian heritage, which in fact we do have. We published a book just a couple of years ago called The Christian Life and Character of the Civil Institutions of the United States, about a 1,000-page book dealing with original documents. And we have branched out from that historical reading of our history into a comprehensive Christian worldview, explaining to Christians that the Bible speaks to every area of life, and laying out those basic Christian principles and showing how they apply in the area of politics and economics and education and science, etc.
Yeah. And I've found your writings very helpful with regard to eschatology and how we should understand the end times and where some of our brothers and sisters go wrong. Do you want to comment on that?
Well, the eschatological issue, I think, does in fact affect the way Christians apply their faith. If you discount the future, if you shorten it, you're going to live in terms of that shortened future. And anytime I would go out and speak somewhere, I would find people saying, "Well, why bother? Jesus is coming back soon." So I needed a hermeneutical, exegetical, biblical way to show them no. The majority of those prophecies referred to events leading up to and including the destruction of Jerusalem, which took place in AD 70. And when people grasp the significance of that, then they begin to see that God does have a rich future for us. He's given us since the time of Christ, 2,000 years, and Christians have in fact transformed the world. I mean, they've done a lot of bad things too. We're sinners, but without Christianity, the world would be in much, much worse shape. And so American Vision is attempting to get Christians to renew that belief system and to renew the application of the gospel in every area of life.
Take responsibility for the world, care for it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I always say that we have certain circles of responsibility. And the first series of books I wrote was called God and Government, a 3-volume set, and it dealt with the fact that God's government is over all of our lives. But then there's self-government, family government, church government, and then civil government. And so you're responsible for those inner circles. You first, then fix your family, then fix, church, and then fix the world which God has put you in.
Yeah.
And when you get all those circles of responsibility in line, and if all Christians would do that, we'd have a much better world. Instead of trying to change things from the top down politically, we change things from the bottom up, and we will see a transference of that all the way up to the top and then back down again through politics.
And so what's your interest in my writings and Christian Zionism in particular? Where does that fit in?
Well, the first thing was you actually quoted me in your book, so that was nice. But I like to learn as well, and reading other people's works, there's always a different view, a different perspective. And since you took you dealt with a very specific issue, Christian Zionism, which I don't deal with very much. Most of my work is exegetical. Having that perspective and beginning to explain to Christians how a movement gets started, how movement gets started, its development, the significance it's had religiously and politically and socially, I think is helpful for people. When you have a context for something, they have a better understanding of it.
Do you see it as having much of an impact here in the States or in the Middle East today?
Well, certainly in the United States, the dispensational premillennial view is prevalent. Majority of radio stations, book publishing companies are pretty much dispensational. There are a few that probably aren't. Baker Bookhouse here in the United States, probably InterVarsity Press, Some of the mainline evangelical publishers aren't dispensational, but some of them are. Thomas Nelson, Zondervan, Harvest House, and so forth. But 20 years ago, there was really no alternative discussion of eschatological views. And we are making a dent. I mean, a small organization like American Vision is really having quite an impact. And I was called by a Christian magazine, Newsmax magazine. My name came to the top as a kind of an alternative position. 20 years ago, even 10 years ago, there wouldn't have been an alternative position. And the other side, the dispensationalists know this. They know who I am. I've debated them as well. And so the fact that the discussion is on the table is a good thing.
Last question. What are your hopes and aspirations for the new president here?
Well, I want him to be successful on the right policies. We knew what going into his presidency, what he believed. A lot of people didn't believe it. He certainly inherited a bad basket of fruit, to be sure, much of it caused by the government. You can blame George Bush and so forth, but these men's hands have been all over this. This is a problem created by government, and just in the events leading up to our Great Depression, that was a government manipulated, it's brought about because of government regulation. They thought to fix it by government regulation. And by doing so, kept us in the depression longer than we should have been. And I hope the same thing doesn't happen with this, because what affects us affects you, what affects you affects the rest of the world. We're all in this together.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Gary.
Thank you.
Thank you.